Yo, 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 what up, y'all? It's your boy Fro. And today I'm going to be talking about the brand new Minecraft movie starring Jack Black, Jason Momoa, and directed by Jared Hess, who also made Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre, two of my favorite comedies. So ain't nothing to it but to do it. Honestly, when the news erupted that Minecraft was going to be adapted into a film, I honestly wasn't too excited. I have no experience with the game personally. I don't know any details that are too deep as far as what translated to the game to the movie. So I'm going to be focusing on this review more so from what I watched from the movie. We're following a guy named Steve, played by Jack Black. When Steve was younger, he would try to break into the mines, but would get rushed away by a very goofy looking older man who hates kids. So when Steve gets a bit older, to his 30s or 40s or 50s, he's able to go into the mines and retrieve what's called the Orb of Dominance alongside a thing called the Earth Crystal. Now, the orb creates a portal to another place called the Overworld, which Steve crosses over into, and he's able to manipulate things with cubes and blocks from his imagination. He eventually wanders across a very creepy looking place, which I thought resembled hell quite a bit. And this place is called the Nether, which is ran by an evil pig named Malgosha, who's obsessed with capturing this orb so that she can control the overworld. Before Steve is ultimately captured by Malgosha, he gives the orb over to his trusted companion, a wolf dog named Dennis, who I thought stole the show quite a bit as a cat and dog lover. He gives the orb to Dennis, who runs off into the real world and hides it under Steve's bed. Flash forward some time later, and we're introduced to a guy named Garbage Man, played by Jason Momoa, who's pretty much a man-child, but he gave me some of the bigger laughs in the film. Even not being a big fan of Jason Momoa, I thought he still did a pretty good job at delivering some pretty goofy one-liners and simple quips. When it comes to Garbage Man, he doesn't have the best luck in the movie. He owns a video game store that's not doing so well. And in fact, he gets an eviction notice for it. So he starts auctioning off his items at a storage, and it's like a storage community, which kind of gave me a little chuckle. But he eventually comes across Steve's possessions, the orb and the Earth Crystal, while he's at the storage auction. We follow two kids named Henry and Natalie, who both recently lost their mother, their brother and sister. Garbage Man brings Henry over to his video game store, where Henry discovers the orb and the Earth Crystal. He combines them together, and they pop up in Steve's mind where the portal is to the overworld. Natalie, the older sister, alongside their real estate agent, Dawn, played by Daniel Brooks, who recently got nominated for an Oscar for her role in The Color Purple. She pops up here playing a pretty likable, goofy character, but they all eventually get sucked through the portal into the overworld, and that's where we are for the majority of the film. Now, I gotta say, my expectations were very low for this film, even being a fan of Jared Hess and a good amount of Jack Black's films. But I gotta say, this one surprised me quite a bit. The gags are very simple and one note, and they're very cheap, but they made me chuckle nonetheless. Is this movie perfect? I wouldn't say so, but it kept me entertained. And this movie was a bit darker than I thought it would be for a PG family film. I mean, the imagery of the Nether and how hellish it is. We have fire. We have very creepy pig minions that are evil, serving the lead villain, Malgosha. And characters do get killed in here. Whenever a pig gets stabbed, they turn into a sizzling piece of pork chop. And there's a later scene where Henry discovers a chest of dead bodies, which are pretty much pork chops, which I was like, yo, that is very dark. Mainly because I have a strong zombie bias, but I did like the use of the zombies in this movie. They made me laugh quite a bit. There is one brief but very disturbing moment that did make me chuckle, and it's when a group of zombies are ganging up on this one sheep and they're tearing his fur apart, and the sheep is just bleeding for dear life, going, "Rah!" So it made me chuckle. My favorite character is General Chungus, who's also voiced by the director Jared Hess, who I think does a really good job at making me crack a rib with every line. General Chungus, to me, had the most memorable lines in the film. And he's one of Malgosia's minions. He's portrayed as very threatening in nature, but when he talks, it's very goofy and soft. He has a rivalry slash friendship with Steve that's established for a brief moment, but General Chungus is brought to the overworld by Malgosia. He's ordered by her to kill Steve in the overworld. So when he pops up, he says, "I'm sorry, Steve, that I gotta unalive you and stuff." He gave me the funniest lines. I do wish that he had more screen time because I felt that Malgosia killed him off rather quickly when she brings in the Great Hog, who I think didn't really impact me as much as General Chungus did. Jennifer Coolidge also pops up portraying a role that we're mostly used to seeing her as, the ditzy, clumsy, oblivious blonde, but she sells it very well. And in here, she's a very bizarre character playing the vice principal of Henry's school, who has a ton of ex-husbands. But one of the characters in the overworld accidentally stumbles into the real world. He gets ran over by her car, and they eventually start a relationship, which was a little bit creepy, but it made me laugh at the same time. There's one line that she says when she first meets him, when she runs him over, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, but she says, "Oh, I usually meet people like this when I run them over with my Jeep Cherokee." That was one of the bigger laughs for me. There is one part where it looks like our characters are about to be taken over by the zombies, and Steve comes in to save the day. But the soundtrack choice I felt was extremely questionable. I don't like the "Hey, my little boo thing, you're my little boo thing." I don't like that song at all. I think I just heard it way too many times in commercial ads on YouTube. I don't like that song whatsoever. So when that popped on, I was like, yo, there are so many other songs you could have picked that could have made that better, that little moment better. I don't like "Hey, my little boo thing." I don't. There is another musical number in here that's, although brief, that I wasn't really caring for, and that's the lava chicken part. Now, I'm aware this song is pretty popular on the TikTok, and it is going around quite a bit since the movie came out, but the la la lava chicken, it just wasn't working for me. Now, I wasn't able to catch this movie at the theater, but I did watch it on a streaming platform at home. But I am aware of the kids that were throwing popcorn all over the place at the movie theater while watching this film. And I do think that is pretty dumb. I love movies, but I would never go crazy and throw popcorn all over the place. But they did it all for the chicken jockey scene, which I thought was pretty underwhelming. I was aware of the scene before I saw the movie because it was spreading like wildfire on social media. It is kind of funny seeing Jason Momoa getting knocked all over the place by this little mini zombie riding this chicken horseback. But when we get to the ending of the movie, there is a pretty big battle between Malgosia's piglins and the iron golems that are more so on the good side with Natalie, Steve, and Henry. Steve is able to defeat Malgosia, and there's a very cheap gag that kind of made me laugh, but I felt that it was overcooked a bit. And it's when Malgosia's like, "Steve, come closer, come closer." He's like, "You're going to try to stab me, aren't you?" She's like, "No." And then she slowly tries to stab him. He's like, "Oh, come on, predictable." Then she does it a second time, and I'm like, okay, it's a little funny. And then she does it a third time, and I'm like, okay, this gag has run its course. After the piglins are zombified and killed off, Natalie, Henry, and Garbage Man and Dawn are able to go back to the real world, and Steve decides to stay back, but they do invite him, and he eventually reconsiders and jumps back into the real world with them. And they eventually land back at the video game store, which is now a big success. They're all working together. Steve and the Garbage Man have been kind of bantering and bickering with each other through the whole film, and now they're completely brothers. And that's the Minecraft movie. Now, I honestly thought I wasn't going to love this movie just because I'm not too familiar with the source material, the game, or I feel like I'm not the audience. But I got to say, it surprised me quite a bit. Some gags don't work, but some of the gags gave me some cheap chuckles, and I found myself laughing a little more than I expected. Now, Jason Momoa, Jack Black, they have a pretty solid chemistry when they're taking jabs at each other. And some of the humor did remind me of that very goofy Napoleon Dynamite Nacho Libre kind of style, which might not be for everybody. So I can see if some of the humor is a bit dry for some of the viewers here, but I didn't mind this one overall. I don't love it, but I don't hate it at the same time. So I'm going to give a Minecraft movie about a 6 out of 10. And that's it, y'all. It's your boy Fro. What did you think about this flick? Did you despise it? Do you hate it? Is it on one of your worst movies of the year? I've seen it on a couple people's list so far, and I gotta say I've seen way worse in my opinion. But that's my thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Check out my description box with my Patreon link if you want to subscribe. Hit the like and the subscribe button on here. It helps the channel. And thank you guys a bunch yet again. Peace.